I can't explain fake feeling with a video, so instead I've made an interactive little toy for you to play with while the video plays in the background. You can get to it at interaction.nyquill.moe. The video is going to be mostly instructions for how to interact with the toy, so you should have the video playing in the background. If the game doesn't load, try a different browser. If the game is too small, make the window bigger and refresh. Pause this video and get the game set up in another tab. Once you're done, come back to this tab and unpause the video, then switch back. You'll notice that there's a circle in the bottom left. Click on it and try dragging it around. It's a ball. You can drag it around, and if you let go, it'll keep moving. Try bouncing it off the walls. Try and get a feel for the weight of the ball and how bouncy it is. Okay, that's probably enough. Go ahead and click on the right arrow in the bottom right of the screen. You should be in a room called Drag. We're going to do just that. Try dragging the ball around only the top half of the screen. You don't need to throw it around anymore. It should feel exactly the same as it did before. Now try dragging the ball around the bottom half of the screen. Something's a bit off. Try switching between the top half and the bottom half. What does the bottom half of the screen feel like? What is that area? Do you have a word to describe it? I showed this to a couple of people, and of the 3 that gave me an answer to that question, the 3 all said the same word: viscous. Viscous, like mud. It's hard to drag the ball around, underwater, a liquid pushing against you. You can feel it, and it's fake. Try switching from the top and the bottom half, but instead start closing your eyes. You'll notice that muddy feeling suddenly goes away. If you open your eyes again, you'll notice that the ball will always reach you. The mud only slows the ball down. It doesn't slow you down. The feeling of mud here is a fake feeling. It's not real, and your mind is playing tricks on you. If you've heard the term playing underwater by some fighting game players, this is what they're talking about. The feeling that everything is underwater when their online game starts lagging. Alright, that should be it for this room. Go ahead and put the ball down and click the right arrow to go to the next room. You should be in a room titled Pull A. You're probably familiar with what's in this room. That is a slider. Go ahead and click on the 1, the start of it, keep the button held, and follow it to the end. If you don't like clicking, you can use Z or X on the keyboard. When the ball reaches the end, the slider is complete and resets. You might have noticed something at the end of the slider, something that looks like a smoke trail. That is a recording of your mouse cursor moments before the slider finished. This will get you an idea of what you're doing with your cursor right at the end of the slider. This will come in handy later. I might lose you here, but please give this a try. When you're following the slider, you're probably sticking to the center of the ball. Instead, try following the slider, but keep your mouse as far to the left in the follow circle as possible. Give this a few tries, and pay attention to any fake feelings you might be having. Do you feel that? It's suddenly much more tense. It feels like something is pulling you to the right stronger than before. As you start to reach the edge of the follow circle, your brain starts to tell you that you're doing it wrong, and that you should get closer to the slider ball to be safe. This turns into a feeling of pull, a fake feeling of pull, that pulls you towards the slider ball. It works in the other direction too. Instead of sticking to the left of the follow circle, try sticking to the right. See how the slider ball pulls you towards it as you get closer to the right edge. Unfortunately, this is a game in JavaScript, it's not the actual game, so this effect might not be working on you very well. If you're having trouble, I recommend trying this out in the real game instead. The same goes for the later examples. Alright, we should be done here. Click the right arrow to go to the next room, Pull B. This room is very similar. However, when the slider is finished, there will be a circle to click on. Give it a try. Give this a few more tries and pay very close attention to any fake feelings you might be having, specifically with the circle. Feel anything? Probably not. Maybe something very slight. The circle is very, very slightly pulling you towards it. You have plenty of time to see it, think about it, and mosey on over there. Keep that in mind and try it a few more times. Okay, that's enough of this room. Click the right arrow to go to the next room. Pull C. This room also has a slider followed by a circle, but the circle is over to the right instead of up top. The circle also appears sooner. Try it out a few times and pay attention to any fake feelings you might be having. You might have started to get some slider breaks. You may notice that there is a feeling of tension and pull affecting you when you reach the end of the slider. As you reach the end of the slider's pull on you decreases, but the pull of the circle increases. At some point, you are being pulled between the two very strongly. Give it some more tries, but this time pay attention to the smoke trail. What is happening as the pull of the slider lessens, but the pull of the circle increases? You may have already guessed, but this effect causes your cursor to accelerate. It's a visual of what you're feeling, the lessening pull of the slider and the increasing pull of the circle. I apologize if this all sounds like a stretch. I'll have some real examples in the actual game for you to try out at the end of the video. But for now, click the right arrow to enter the next room. You should be in Pull D. This room is very similar to Pull C. This time the circle is on the left. Try it out a couple of times, and pay attention to the pull of the slider, the pull of the circle, the pull between the two, and the smoke trail. This is a pretty big distance, and it's a bit tough to do. Hopefully the feeling of pull will be very strong here, as they are pulling you in different directions. Pulling the player in opposing directions is one of the most easy and powerful uses of fake feeling in mapping. But let's back up a bit. Why does this even work? Why does your brain tell you so strongly that you need to move around? It's actually pretty simple. If you don't move around, you get punished. If you miss a circle, you get a big X. If you miss a slider end, you get a 100. These are both negative feedback, and your brain tries to avoid them. Your brain wants 300s. The consequence of failure creates tension. Have you ever wondered why jumps are impactful? It's not just because you move your cursor a bit more. They're more difficult. There's a bigger room for failure. They're tense. The fake feeling brought upon by the suspense of failure. You still with me? Alright, I got one more thing to show you. The next room has a circle, slider, and metronome to help stay on beat. Go ahead and go to the next room, Impact A. Try playing these two objects as you normally would. Pay attention to any fake feelings you might be having when you click on them. This is different from before. Focus on the very moment that you click on them. Try and get as many 300s as you can, too. The next room has a slider and then a circle. Go ahead and go to the next room now, Impact B. Keep clicking on the objects like you did in the previous room. Do you remember earlier when I said jumps are impactful because of a risk of failure? Of these two objects, only one of them has a risk of failure when you click on it. If one of these doesn't have a risk of failure, then what happens to its impact? Can you feel it? Sliders do not have accuracy when you click on them. Circles, however, do. Losing accuracy is a form of punishment, so circles have a chance of failure. Because of this, circles naturally have more impact than sliders. If you're having trouble feeling it here, try it in the real game instead. Alright, that's enough. Go ahead and go to the next room to stop the metronome. Adding slider accuracy to sliders would bring their impact closer to circles. Every single slider in the game would feel different. It would be a different game. The use of sliders to soften impact would be completely gone, and maps that rely on it to vary their own impact can no longer be made. Part of the reason OS is so compelling and feels so strong is because of fake feeling. To damage the ability of fake feeling to be used is to damage the entire game. OS is very unique in the way that fake feeling can be used. I can't think of another game that comes even close to this one. To threaten something like that is just absurd, all over some fear of cheesing? Not like a rhythm game? What's wrong with you? You don't know what you're missing until it's gone, so don't make that mistake. Whew, sorry about that. I care about this stuff, you know? Anyway, next room is just for fun. It's got a ball in it with some levers that you might find interesting. And that's it, you're free to go. You can switch back to the video for the examples I promised you earlier. Alright, here we go. If you're having trouble feeling any of the fake feelings described previously, there is a map you can try that pretty much is a crash course on this stuff, and that is Electus Whispers from the Sea, mapped by deetz. The difficulty you want to play is Water. As you can probably tell by the title, water is the theme, and the gameplay certainly tries to replicate that. Watch the player's cursor and see how they're being pulled out of the slider they're playing by the next object. This creates a lot of tension and results in heavy impact. Here's another map that takes it to the extreme. This is Hades in the Heaven, mapped by Landwings. This map also uses fake feeling to create tension between objects. The slow sliders combined with the large spacing makes it very, very tense. The next example can be found in Nice for What, mapped by Undead Capulet. Bet you didn't see that coming. On the long slider there, did you hear that noise that builds up? It's like shh. You'll notice this is very similar to my example in Pole C, in which you can both get the player to accelerate and have a high amount of impact at the end. It fits that sound effect really well. And here's one from my stuff. This next one's about the feeling when you click on them. Notice how the weaker beats have sliders and the stronger beats have circles. Special thanks to NyQuil for hosting that little JavaScript thing, and thanks for watching.